On r/wedding shaming today, a mother-in-law with a secret agenda, a seating plan designed by pure chaos, and an RSVP twist you won't believe. Let's begin.
Mother-in-law intentionally tried to make the bride look ugly in a Christmas gift illustration. I, 29 female, have been making personalized illustrations for the past 5 years in this wedding industry. I always get some random requests and commissions, and just when I thought I've seen it all, I got this peculiar request from a groom's mother who's after an illustration which she'll be giving the couple as their first Christmas gift. So, a few weeks ago, I received a message from this woman. She wanted a wedding illustration of 4 people, her plus her husband, groom plus bride, and gave me a reference picture. Everything looked normal, just like any other orders. I asked her if she had any special requests or instructions before asking her for the payment. She requested if I could make the bride look natural, not too much makeup like the photo. I thought, okay, probably the makeup artist did overdo her makeup a bit, and I said, sure, definitely can do, no problem. Later, she proceeded with the full payment, and I confirmed the order. So far, so good. Then I begin with the illustration, and after a few days, I completed it. I sent her a draft to do a review for any possible changes or adjustments. She almost immediately replied with a heaps of changes, and that's all on the bride. She said that the bride's smile looked too big and it needed to be softened. Her blushes from the cheeks needed to be removed, eyeliners needed to be thin, and so on. Her accurate words were, her smile needs to be polite, not so glamorous like the photo. That's not her natural smile. It seemed really weird to me, so I requested for some additional photos of the bride. She then sent me a few more pictures of the bride later that night, and I straight away noticed that the bride's smile on the illustration looked very, very similar to all the other pictures as well. So I asked her again if she could clarify what she meant by polite smile. She then said, her own words, X's smile looks too wide in the pictures, but she's not the most smiling type of person in everyday life. Please make it soft, along with the specified changes I mentioned earlier. And she also asked me to draw a completely different hairstyle and provided a ref photo. This was a new request, which wasn't previously mentioned. She said that the bride complained about her hairstyle on the wedding day and wanted something different. I replied that, okay, I'll do my best and we'll send you the revised version tomorrow. So after making all the requested adjustments, I sent her the second draft for a review. She still complained about how the bride looked, but at the end, she was okay with it. Then she asked me to remove some details from the bride's dress by saying the details on the dress looks too noisy. Please remove the floral patterns from it and make it plain. I was really surprised by that because almost every one of my clients always love the detailings that I do on their dresses. So I replied, are you sure? It took me a lot of time drawing those details on the dress, and usually my clients love it, and I really think your daughter-in-law would love it too. But she still insisted on keeping it plain. So the next day I made the changes again, and at this time I felt bad for the bride because now she just looks like a normal girl with a white gown. None of her bridal features from the wedding pictures remained on my illustration. But this is what the client asked, and I obliged till that point. Anyways, I sent this third draft to her, and this time she said something that completely shocked me. She said, everything looks fine. Can you just make the bride chubbier? She's not that thin in real life. And this is when I completely lost it. Until that point, I had some doubts, but that time I was 100% certain that she was trying to make her own daughter-in-law look ugly on purpose. I straight away replied to her, sorry, ma'am, I won't be able to make that kind of changes on my illustration. It seems to me that you're trying to make the bride look ugly on purpose, and I cannot do that. Please show the illustration to your daughter-in-law and send her our details. If she wants to make any changes on it, I'll be more than happy to do so. I could sense that my response made her pretty mad. She immediately asked for a full refund and accused me of ruining her Christmas gift. I politely told her that there will be no refund on the illustration since I spent hours on perfecting it according to her instructions. And I stated my previous point again that if her daughter-in-law wants to make any changes, I'll happily do so. Then I emailed her the original illustration, the first draft where the bride looked like the ones from the photo, and closed the order. She later threatened to take me to the small claims court for ruining her Christmas surprise. I later showed the illustration to my girlfriends, and they all agreed with me. My husband also said that this woman is an evil, and I should focus on the other orders that I have pending.
Wow. I don't know what beef this mother-in-law has with the bride, but asking an artist to slowly downgrade someone's looks? That's a whole new sport. If someone told me, hey, can you make her chubbier? I'd just log out of life at that point. What makes this even wilder is the confidence. Like, she really typed those instructions with full chest, not even a tiny bit of shame. Honestly, props to the illustrator for standing her ground. Some people forget that doing you a favor doesn't mean you get to treat someone like a character in your personal makeover game. And threatening small claims court over an illustration? Oh, she was committed. But trust me, the energy we're about to walk into in the next story, let's just say, it gets weirder.
I recently went to a wedding reception where the seating arrangements were alphabetical by first name. All the Anns and Bobs at one table, all the Joes and Katies at another, regardless of whether or not any of them knew each other. If you came as a +1 and didn't know anybody besides your date, too bad, no exceptions. Strictly alphabetical. Except for my one friend, Caitlin, who was seated at the K table for some reason. No, we still don't know why. There was one table that was pretty much just women named Sue, Susan, and Suzanne who didn't know each other at all. There was one table where a guy I know, his current girlfriend, and his ex all got seated together. Basically, everybody ended up standing around the edges of the room all night.
Okay, I've seen some creative wedding ideas, but sorting human beings like a library shelf? That's a bold choice. Imagine walking in and realizing you're not sitting with friends or family. Nope, you're sitting with everyone whose name shares your first letter. Like, congrats, you're at table B because you're a B. That's the whole logic. And bless the Susans. They showed up expecting a nice dinner and instead got thrown into a Susan convention they didn't sign up for. I would have spent the whole night pretending to answer imaginary phone calls just to escape. And poor Caitlin getting dropped in the K group? Honestly, that's my favorite part. It's giving, the chart said no, but chaos said yes. Whoever designed this seating plan definitely succeeded in making the wedding memorable. Just, not the kind of memorable you frame in an album. Speaking of chaos, wait until you hear the RSVP situation next.
My bridesmaid RSVP'd herself, her husband, and her sister, then didn't come. We had a large wedding this fall and had to be very specific with our guest list because of space limits. One of my bridesmaids, Stacy, told me her husband would be out of town for our wedding and asked if she could bring her sister instead. I've met her sister, but we're not close. Since it was an adult for an adult swap and we allotted 2 spots, we said sure and updated our online RSVP platform with her sister's name. A few weeks later, we get their RSVP and all 3 of them RSVP'd yes. I asked Stacy if it was a mistake and she said, "Good news, my husband can come now, so all 3 of us will be there. Yay!" My husband and I hate drama, and since a few guests had already RSVP'd no, we let it slide. In hindsight, we should have shut it down. Fast forward to a month and a half before the wedding, Stacy tells me she's not sure she can come anymore because of how she might be feeling in her pregnancy. Totally fine, her call. I told her I support whatever decision she makes, but we did need final numbers soon. She said, "Okay, yeah, I'm probably not coming, but my sister can still go. She will represent us." I had to tell her straight up that her sister was never on the original guest list. I don't know her that well and she won't know anyone, and I don't feel comfortable having her there by herself. So I told Stacy I'm going to put all 3 of them as a no. And now Stacy doesn't talk to me anymore. How did we go from a simple guest swap to my sister is going in our place to represent us to cutting contact? The audacity is wild.
I try not to judge, but RSVPing yourself, your husband, and your sister, then not showing up at all? I've seen entitlement, but this is the kind where you just blink twice and wonder if you misheard. And the line, "She'll represent us." Represent what? Your household? Your fandom? Like this is the Olympics? Honestly, I'd be speechless too. If someone I barely knew showed up on behalf of a bridesmaid, I'd also rethink every life decision that led me into that conversation. But hey, at least we all got a good story out of it. Tell me in the comments, who do you think handled this whole situation worse? Stacy or the mother-in-law from First Story? And that's all for today's r/wedding shaming. Where love might be in the air, but so is the drama, glitter, and rage tears. If you enjoyed the chaos, give this video a thumbs up. Drop your thoughts in the comments, especially if you've witnessed a wedding meltdown of your own. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't make me throw a Bridezilla-level tantrum. Smash that button, ring the bell, and I'll see you in the next one, where someone's dream day turns into a group chat legend. Bye!